I want to make one thing very clear about this lesbian ex-girlfriend thing. I'm over it. Really, I'm over it. It's just something that happened to me. It affected me, so I thought it was relevant. But I'm over it. I am so over it that I got married in September to Audra. And we've created for ourselves a wonderful life together. And when I say created, I mean created. We got an apartment in downtown Davis. But you want to know the problem with apartments in downtown Davis is you don't get a yard. And we really wanted a yard. So we created one. We built a white picket fence around the cement slab. Problem with the cement slabs, you can't grow grass on a cement slab. So we went to the Home Depot and we bought a big piece of AstroTurf. So now we've got an AstroTurf lawn and a white picket fence. I put up an American flag, a symbol that I do not believe in, but the reason I put it up is because it looks so good. The AstroTurf lawn and the white fence. And somebody for our wedding, they gave us a god-awful ceramic ornament that says welcome on it. Put it outside the front door. I got my welcome sign. I got my American flag. I got my AstroTurf lawn, my white picket fence, 2 cats, and a bunny rabbit named Trouble. I'm very happy with my marriage. The only problem I have is that Audra is a senior veterinarian medical student, which means that she's gone all the time. She leaves for school at 7 o'clock in the morning, and she doesn't come home till 10 o'clock at night if she's lucky. So every morning, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I cook her breakfast, I make her some juice, I get her some coffee, I send her off to school with a kiss. Bye-bye, sweetie. Have a nice day. Then I go to work. I work very sporadically. I work a little bit in the morning, and then I take a break, and I go and I run errands. Go to the grocery store, the hardware store, the drugstore. Come home, put everything away, go back to work for a little while, and then 3:30, it's quitting time. Why? Because that's when Days of Our Lives starts. 3:30, I go home. I watch Days of Our Lives. I cook dinner. I leave all the food in pots and pans on the stove. And then when Audra comes home, I heat it up. I give her a glass of wine. We eat dinner. We go to bed. And then the next day, we repeat the whole thing. I'm a housewife. And that's okay, because I'm kind of happy. So one day, recently, I had a very, very bad day at work. I mean, one of those days, you know, those kind of days that just drive you crazy. And I came home, and there was no wife in the house. Like, I got married. Where's my wife? I'm looking around the house. I couldn't find my wife. I needed my wife. I needed to talk to my wife, but she wasn't there. She wasn't going to be home for a long time. So I didn't know what to do, and then I saw it. The box of wine. We got about 5 of these boxes of wine for our wedding. We drank 4 of them, and we had this one left over. I have been trying to get rid of this box of wine. Whenever anybody comes over for dinner, I insist they have a box of wine. A glass of wine. If they come over for breakfast, I insist they have a glass of wine. When the UPS guy wants me to sign for something, I insist he have a glass of wine. So I thought, maybe I'll do my part. I'll have a glass of wine. So I poured myself a glass of wine. And I drank it. I felt better. Poured another glass of wine. I drank it. Felt good. I poured another glass of wine and I drank it tipsy. Another glass of wine and I drank it drunk. I was drunk. So I looked around the house for something to do, and there he was, my new kitten. Let me tell you something about this kitten. This kitten was found underneath a car in Sacramento by a 6-year-old girl. She was walking home from elementary school. The kitten was screaming. It was crying. Why? Because it was hungry. And because, judging from the scars, the nearest thing we can figure is that somebody doused this kitten with lighter fluid and lit it on fire. Its ears were burned off. Half of its tail was burned off. Its nose was burned off. The pads on its feet were burned off. And all the hair on its back was burned off. And this kitten loves me. Every night, this little kitten crawls into my arm and purrs all night long. So I picked him up there. And I started to ask him rhetorical questions of universal importance. At least they seemed important at the time. I mean, I was drunk. And I said to him, "Scab?" We named him Scab. I said to him, Scab, how do you do it? How can you love me? How can you trust me when I'm a member of the human race? How do you do it? How do you forgive? Why? Why does God let things happen like this? If there's a God, why does she let people torture other things? Why does she let war happen? Why does she let things happen? Why did she allow Hitler to live? Why? Why did I go to Sedona, Arizona? Why does Conan O'Brien get a TV show? Why did my brother have to die? Why do people die so young? Why did Paul Crome die when he was riding his skateboard? Why did Katie Salee die in that car accident? Why did Corey Welch get his head chopped off by a freight train? Why did Andy Jones die for no apparent reason whatsoever? Why did Tony die of AIDS? Why did Peter die of AIDS? Why did John die of AIDS? Why did Anthony die of AIDS? Why did Michael die of AIDS? You know, I fucking hate AIDS. You know something, Scab? My mom used to work in this woman's clinic. And at this woman's clinic, they used to do this thing. They used to perform abortions. And apparently abortions are a bad thing. So the right to lifers, they used to picket the clinic all the time. And not only would they picket the clinic, but they would picket the doctors' homes. They would picket office parties. They would picket everything. And you want to know something? Right about the time that this pathetic crusade escalated itself to the point of doctors around the country being shot in the back and clinics around the country being blown up, clinics like my mom, blown up by bombs. Right about that time, you want to know something? Another one of my friends died of AIDS. And I think I started to get pretty fed up with God's servants. Not all of God's servants, just some of God's servants. Those who kill others in the name of life and those who damn dying people to hell in the name of God. Dying people, Scab. Most of whom are only dying because of a very innocent and respectful quest for the one thing that we're all looking for, love. God's servants. God's servants can go to hell.